What's next for Five Nights at Freddy's? Hello everybody, Mikey here, or Burns Post like I always say, and today I sorta have a theory slash prediction video for you all. Now FNAF right now is kinda at a weird point. FNAF Help Wanted 2 supposedly added more context to FNAF Ruin, so it wasn't the most recent point in the timeline. That would be the FNAF Ruin ending, whichever one it was. So I have a question that's been on my mind since FNAF Ruin came out. What comes next? FNAF Ruin left off in a place that there's so much stuff that could happen no matter what ending you pick. So let's get into my theories on what comes next for FNAF's story. So first things first, what's going to happen to Cassie? Now for this one I will be using the elevator ending because that's the one I got. So, Cassie is in a rough spot because she was not only tricked by the Mimic, but possibly betrayed by Gregory as well. Now, I don't think she's dead, and that's for a couple of reasons. One, I think that'd be a very lackluster end to her character, and a lot of people loved her. And two, I mean, come on, it's FNAF, no one ever dies just once. What's next for her? Well, I think what's next for her is her getting out of the Pizzaplex. Now, I don't think we'll play this, but I think we'll either see it play out in a minigame or in a cutscene. Now, on the off chance she is dead, well, I think she could go on and possess Roxanne. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, why would you say something so bold yet controversial? Well, from what we've seen of art in the character and in the game, they seem to have a close bond, so it makes sense why Cassie would want to possess her. Okay, but how would she possess her? Well, honestly, I think she could just do it in ghost form and float into her. It's not like you need to be stuffed into the animatronic to possess it. Just look at Charlie and the Puppet or the Crying Child in Golden Freddy, if you subscribe to that theory, that is. Just having any connection to the character could help you possess it. Could you imagine the next FNAF game opening up with a Roxy reboot screen, like how Freddy had his in Security Breach, but this time it's for possession? Now, what would happen to Roxy in this possible possession? Well, I think it would be like a Stitch Race situation, where there's two consciences in one, but this time the other conscience is just an AI. What if Roxy could move, but only Cassie could think? But that's all I gotta say about Cassie for now. Next up is Afton. By the way, before we got on to Afton, I want to say how difficult it is not to say Cassidy instead of Cassie. Like, oh my god. Now, first things first, I'm going to get this out of the way. For my theories, I subscribe to the Burn Trap and Glitch Trap being Afton theory, because that just makes the most sense to me, but if it does turn out that Mimic Trap is true, I'll update this thumbnail to have a clown version of my profile picture on it. So, let's go over the easier of the two first. What happened to Glitch Trap? In FNAF Help Wanted 2 ending, we get to see a giant Vanny crush Glitch Trap. Not only do I believe that this makes Vanessa no longer under Glitch Trap's control, but I think this also shows us how the Mixes is created. Now that may seem odd, but hear me out. If the Princess Quest ending is to be the canon one for Security Breach, then that would mean Vanessa is no longer under Glitch Trap's control, but that also would mean Glitch Trap is still out there. So in FNAF Help Wanted 2, we see Vanessa going back and finishing the job, but why stop there? Gregory somehow knew about the Mimic in Ruin, so wouldn't it make sense that Vanessa did too? Wouldn't it make sense instead of a 10-year-old boy designing the Mixes, it was Vanessa instead? That she designed them so the Mimic couldn't hurt anybody else and get out of the Pizzaplex? I mean, the Mixes and Glitch Trap are both funny things that both work with technology, but yeah, I think Help Wanted 2 is the last we'll see of Glitch Trap for a while at least, and I think the Mixes might come back at some point to help, but I'm not too sure about that. So you may be asking yourself, what about Afton? If the Princess Quest ending is canon, what about Burn Trap? Well, I have a bit of a theory that I think may be a stretch. They're both canon, just not in the way we think. So in the Princess Quest ending, we see Freddy, Gregory, and Vanessa leave the Pizzaplex, but I don't think Vanessa and Gregory would be able to leave it be. By just having Burn Trap vibing under the Pizzaplex, I think they went back to the Pizzaplex to finish Afton off, but then obviously the Blob gets him first. But Burns, you say, why would Glamrock Freddy have his body and why would he also have the upgrades? Why would Vanessa not be there? Well, for explaining why Vanessa wouldn't be there, she was probably handling Glitch Trap at that point. And for Freddy's body, well, I could just say they found him a new one or made him one, this time around with the upgrades as well so they can be ready to fight off Burn Trap. That would explain why the other Glamrocks in Ruin are all broken in Ruin, because they came back to the Pizzaplex to finish off Afton. Now you may be asking yourself, what did the Blob do to Afton? Well, I think he took him to torture him. Now, took him where? Well, I'll get to that. But first, I gotta talk about the Mimic! So on to the Mimic. Now the Mimic is in the same situation that Cassie is, still trapped under the Pizzaplex. So I think what will happen is that if/when Cassie gets out of there, she lets out the Mimic either by accident or on purpose. I don't know. But yeah, I don't got much for the Mimic for this video. So with 3 major plot points, what could be the next FNAF game? Well, I think it's going to be that Fall Fest thing we've all been seeing about. Now, I don't know what it could be, I haven't really been following that in particular, but I can tell you what characters I think we could be seeing at the Fall Fest. I think we'll be seeing all the major characters in the series that we have seen so far, so you know, Vanessa, Gregory, Cassie, Roxy, Glamrock, Freddy, Burntrap, Mimic, and the Blob, but I also think 2 more characters no one would be expecting. Glamrock, Chica, and the puppet. Okay, now I know saying the puppet coming back is like goes against everything I've said about the newer games. For example, I do complain a lot that Afton comes back yet again and again and again, but hear me out, please. I swear I might have some water to this theory. So you may be asking yourself, why do I think these characters? Well, I think it's because of FNAF Help Wanted 2. Whenever you beat a game in FNAF Help Wanted 2, you can get a prize from the prize box thing. And what art do you see in the box? Fall Fest. And what characters do you see in there? Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and the puppet. Now we already have a Freddy and a Bonnie thing possibly coming to a Fall Fest game with Glamrock, Freddy, and Burntrap. Then for Foxy, we could say Roxy, because Roxy replaced Foxy and SB in Ruin. Now for the Chica connection, it's a bit tough, and honestly, I'm even hesitant to say Glamrock Chica, because that's yet another character that would have to escape the Pizzaplex. But you know, Glamrock Chica deserves to be relevant, so let's just say for the purpose of this theory, she gets out with the others. So what about the puppet? Well, I can see 3 things happening. The first and my least favorite is that the Charlie Emily puppet rises from the grave yet again to throw hands with Burntrap. The reason I don't like this is because it would yet again make the Pizza Sim ending kinda meaningless in the grand scheme of things, though I would love it just for the fact that it could make a meme saying Charlie Emily with a steel chair. The second one could be a purely robotic form of the puppet, not possessed by anyone but made by Vanessa and Gregory to find Afton and the Blob and lead them to Fall Fest, similar to how Lefty did it in Pizza Sim. Now for the one I think is most likely, a Nightmare-owned puppet hybrid. Now the reason I think this is because we've been seeing a lot of Nightmare-owned plushies pop around the Pizzaplex and Ruin. They also could have escaped Ultimate Custom Night to go after Afton to make sure he doesn't get away with his death and his torment. Now all 3 of these are a little bit of a stretch, but I still think that Fall Fest art is something important because it kept being shown to us. So what could happen in this game? Well, I think Fall Fest will be the real end of Afton because I can't see Vanessa or Gregory letting him get away again. Now, I'm hesitant to say that the Mimic will be defeated in the Fall Fest game because he's the first new main villain in FNAF that we've had in years, so I don't think they'd be so quick just to get rid of him after only 2 games. I think Fall Fest we could get an in-game origin for the Mimic, whether that means they confirm Tails games or not. I think the Blob will also be able to rest if Afton is beaten, only because it seems to only be there for Afton. And if Charlie Emily Puppet comes back, I could see her sticking around to go after the Mimic in another game, or just peace out after Afton is stopped so she could chill in the afterlife again. Now for the 3 Glamrocks, I think Glamrock, Freddy, and Roxy should be safe just because they're super popular and Steelwool seems to like using them. Glamrock Chica is probably going to see her end in Fall Fest if she does appear just because she's very broken and not super duper relevant to the lore or story at this point, unless Fall Fest changes that, I don't know. But yeah guys, I know these theories can kind of be hard to believe and a little off the rails, and before I end this video I do want to say sorry if I did miss anything big when it came to evidence for or against my theories. This is my first modern FNAF games theory, so I hope you guys like it, and let me know what I could do better in the comments down below. Alright guys, that's all for today. Thank you all for watching, stay safe out there, and may the stars shine down upon you.